This video is dedicated to the lads who served on board HMS Coventry, the guys who would survive, and unfortunately the guys who are still on patrol today. HMS Coventry is the fourth Type 42 destroyer to come into commission with the Royal Navy. She was built in Birkenhead and launched in June 1974, being commissioned into the Royal Navy on the 10th of November 1978. She would be the test ship for the new Westland Lynx helicopter, while practicing takeoffs and landings, certifying the aircraft as compatible with the Type 42. She was first deployed in 1982 when she would be sent to the Far East alongside HMS Antrim and Alacrity. She'd be the first vessel to visit the People's Republic of China in over 30 years, the last time being when HMS Amethyst got involved in the Yangtze River incident. On the way back home, she was diverted to the Persian Gulf as the Iran-Iraq war had kicked off. She would remain there for 6 weeks, patrolling up and down the Strait of Hormuz until a permanent Armilla patrol was set up, with HMS Ardent and Apollo taking centre stage. For the rest of 1980, 1981 and the start of 1982, she would take part in exercises in home waters and down near Gibraltar. The exercise in Gib was called Spring Train 82, and once that was completed, she was to be sent on an intelligence gathering mission against Soviet naval forces in the Barents Sea, for which she was fitted with special monitoring equipment. Coventry was taking part in exercise Spring Train 82 near the naval base of Gibraltar during March 1982. Along with the other vessels involved in the exercise, she was detailed for service in the Falklands campaign. She would have a Union flag painted on the roof of her bridge and a black line painted through her funnel to the waterline in aid of recognition, as the Argentines also operated the Type 42. On the 27th of April, Coventry, in company with Glamorgan, Glasgow, Arrow and Sheffield, entered the Total Exclusion Zone, a 200-mile cordon around the Falkland Islands. Alongside Sheffield and Glasgow, Coventry would form the air defence vanguard for the aircraft carriers following behind. Coventry's contribution to the Falklands War was considerable. Her helicopter was the first to fire a Sea Skewer air-to-surface anti-ship missile in action. Her Westland Lynx fired 2 Sea Skewer missiles on the 3rd of May at the ARA Alferez Sorbel, the former USS Selish. However, one missile missed and hit a small boat, knocking out its radio aerials and slightly injuring a crew member who was manning a 20mm gun. Glasgow's Lynx fired 2 more Sea Skewers and the vessel retreated, with 8 crewmen killed, 8 wounded and heavy damage. Her damaged bridge was now on display in a naval museum in Argentina, which the vessel now remains in service until 2018. Aside from that, Coventry was the first ship to fire a Sea Dart surface-to-air missile in anger when she fired 3 on the 9th of May at 2 Argentine Learjets, but they just missed the aircraft. Broadsword reported that her radar tracking the missiles merged with a pair of contacts, call sign Litro and Pepe, but they surprisingly missed the contact. Coventry's captain, David Hart Dyke, the father of the British comedian Miranda Hart, believe it or not, was the captain, obviously, and he claimed that 2 A4C Skyhawks of Grupo 4 were shot down by Sea Darts, Charlie 303 and Charlie 313. However, both were actually lost due to bad weather, and both wrecks were found on South Jason Island, one on the northwest side of the cliffs and the other in shallow water in the southwest. Lieutenant Cassio and Lieutenant Fares were both killed, unfortunately. Coventry's first confirmed kill, however, would be of a Puma helicopter of the 601 Assault Helicopter Battalion, which was shot down by a Sea Dart over Chisel Sound, killing its 3-man crew. Coventry had been one of the Type 42 destroyers providing anti-air cover for the fleet, while the loss of Sheffield and the damage of Glasgow on the 12th forced Glasgow to return to the UK. Coventry was left alone to carry out the entire mission, until, hopefully, more ships arrived from the United Kingdom. Following the loss of HMS Sheffield, a new defence tactic was devised to try and maximise the task groups of remaining vessels. This saw the 2 remaining Type 42s paired with the 2 Type 22 frigates, a pairing unofficially termed the Type 64, and this deployed much further ahead of the main force in effort to draw aircraft away from the main carriers. The idea was, in an event that Sea Dart would be unable to function, the short-range Seawolf advanced point defence weapon system fitted to the frigate could be used, and Coventry would be paired with Broadsword. On May the 25th, the scene would be set. HMS Coventry was sailing in line with HMS Broadsword, the lead ship of the Type 22 frigates.
Action stations. Assume NBCD state 1 Zulu.
2 air contacts were picked up at range of 22 miles from the ship, bearing 130 true. APG 53 130. APG 53 being the associating radar to a Skyhawk armed with bombs and rockets. The ship's AWO brought the ship to air threat warning red and made the aircraft hostile. Chief Petty Officer Eli Ellis, the Sea Dart controller, was given the go-ahead to down targets 2002 and 2003, the track numbers for both jets. 2 live Sea Darts would be loaded onto the rails and locked onto the 2 aircraft flying over San Carlos water. Before launch, an air investigator was called in the ops room on tracks 2002 and 2003, with the EW operator confirming they are Skyhawks due to the associated radar. Captain Hart Dyke gave the order to fire both Sea Darts at the 2 approaching aircraft.
Eyes on the bridge.
In the ops room, Chief Petty Officer Ellis gave the call, "Birds are firm, birds away." Sea Dart was in the air for about 25 seconds before downing one of the Skyhawks. With the missile hit, Chief Petty Officer Ellis replied with 2002 bird splashed, meaning the aircraft was shot down. With the other aircraft now bugging out and getting shot down over the Falklands by a Rapier missile, the ship stood down from action stations into defence watches. At Rio Gallegos Air Base in Santa Cruz Province in Argentina, the 5th Air Brigade was about to get a call about a strike on 2 ships that were providing radar coverage for the invasion on the Falklands. These so happened to be the Coventry and the Broadsword. This would be a strike of 4 Skyhawks comprising of Captain Pablo Carabaggio, Carlos Rinque in the first raid, and the second raid was commanded by Mariano Valesco and Leonardo Buenuevo. Captain Hart Dyke receives intelligence from SAS ground forces of a raid of 4 Skyhawks taken off from Rio Gallegos Air Base in Argentina, with an estimated time to attack of 13:15. ABG 53 bearing 270, strength 4. The ship picked up Cabaggio's air group west of West Falklands, about 226.7 nautical miles away. They were not squawking IFF and they were not conforming to air lanes. The PWO made the tracks suspect and assigned the tracks 1119. The EWs then confirmed the Skyhawks were bearing 270 due to the associated radar. The AWO then brung the air threat warning to red and the aircraft became hostiles 5556, 5557, 5558 and 5559. The ship then went to action stations at the same time.
Action stations. Assume NBCD state 1 Zulu.
The Skyhawks dropped down to sea level, and with the 4 aircraft splitting up into two strong groups, with Velasco flying over West Falklands and Cabaggio and his wingman flying around West Falklands at wave top level to avoid radar detection. Sea Dart was having trouble to try and lock onto these incoming aircraft, and then lookout bearing green 90, 2 pairs of aircraft, range 20 miles, height low. From the upper deck, someone went over the tannoy shouting, "Alarm aircraft visual, starboard battery, 030. Sea Dart failed to get a lock on the target, and so they pointed the 4.5 at the aircraft and started to engage with HE rounds, sending rounds downrange every 2 seconds. On broadsword, she wasn't able to get a lock on her 910 radars for Seawolf due to the land being behind the aircraft. The aircraft then veered to port and had their sights on broadsword. Brace! 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 Bombs away on broadsword. The two Skyhawks dropped their bombs short of the target, but one bounced off the water and went through the side of the ship and through the flight deck, wrecking the Lynx on deck, setting that on fire and then writing that one completely off. The bomb would then continue to plunge back into the sea and would then not detonate. However, out of the blue, "Alarm! Starboard battery! Crew 90! These aircraft were Mariano Velasco's aircraft, and they were heading for Coventry. With the aircraft now turning towards Coventry, their track numbers were 5557 and 5558. Sea Dart was trained onto the two targets, but the radars were trying to get a lock on the aircraft. The captain ordered the officer watch to come to port 030. The captain ordered the change to give the Sea Dart the best possible firing angle and acquisition from both 909 radars. But in the ops room, the PO comes over comms stating there's contact to the northwest. This is the worst situation for a Type 42 to be in, a pincer attack. And so Hartdyke calls a course change to hard right 140 and increasing to 15 knots. Sea Dart then gets a lock on track 5557, but at the same time, one of the air controllers informs the captain there's a Sea Harrier in the air and asks if they need assistance. However, Hartdyke goes for the Sea Dart as they have a lock, and so, birds away. However, once the missile left the launcher, the missile went straight up in the air, lost lock and passed 300 meters to the right of Velasco's aircraft. However, now, the upper deck weapons crew crack out SLRs, GPMGs, the 20mm Orlican, as well as the 4.5 gun coming onto line, and they start opening up on the inbound aircraft. Broadsword does not fire his Seawolf, as reports state that Coventry was in the way. She was being strafed by 20mm fire as the aircraft closed, and they would fly over the 965 radar when they dropped their 250kg bombs. The PO called, "Brace, brace, brace," and then all of a sudden, thud, thud, and thud. 3 bombs penetrated the ship just below the main deck. The damage control teams informed the ops room that the bombs were in the forward engine room. The bomb penetrated the portside engine, and as he finished the sentence, the bomb detonated. The bombs detonated and ruptured the bulkheads and the hull, and the ship instantly started to sink by the port side. As she started to roll, she became unstable, and the ominous sound of creaking you hear in the movie Titanic was playing, but in for real life. 19 men were killed instantly, and men were badly burned and knocked unconscious. There wasn't really a need to give the order to abandon ship. They knew the ship was doomed. With the fires all over the ship, the list was quite pronounced, and broadsword was coming over to the port side to take men off the ship. Captain Hartdyke would be the last man off. Coventry would then subsequently capsize and sink. One of the wounded, Paul Mills, suffered complications with a skull fracture which was sustained during the sinking of the ship, where he would later die on the 29th of March 1983. After the ship was struck, her crew waited to be rescued and sang "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life" while Monty Python's Life of Brian. It's quite reminiscent of her sister ship Sheffield sinking. No members of Coventry's crew received an award for bravery, although Chief Petty Officer Air Crewman M.J. Tupner of No. 846 Naval Air Squadron was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal for his part in the rescue of the crew. After the war, a cross to commemorate the crew members who lost their lives was erected on Pebble Island. After the war, Captain David Hartdyke, the commanding officer, would actually write a book called The 4 Weeks in May, The Loss of Hms Coventry, which I haven't personally read, but I would like to read at some point. Apparently it's quite good. Afterwards, there would also be a documentary called Seconds from Disaster, The Attack on Coventry, which was aired in December 2012, which is when I got most of my information from and most of the dialogue. I would recommend watching it. It's quite interesting, to be honest. The wreck site is controlled under the Protection of Military Remains Act. Now, 5 months after Coventry sank, a Royal Navy team of divers conducted an underwater survey of the wreck, which they found lying on a port side in approximately 100 metres of water. This survey was part of the beginning of Operation Backleg, a series of dives to recover classified documentation and equipment, and to make the remaining weapons safe by a means of explosive demolition. The dive teams recovered several personal items belonging to Hart Dyke and the other officers, along with the ship's battle ensign. Later, that would be presented to the next Coventry, a Batch 2 Type 22. The divers also recovered the Cross of Nails, originally presented to the ship by Coventry Cathedral. This was too loaned to the new Coventry until her decommissioning in 2002, when it was returned to the Cathedral. The cross is now carried on board the Type 45 destroyer HMS Diamond. There is a memorial plaque to the dead of HMS Coventry in the Holy Trinity Church in Coventry, and as displayed here. The last thing I've got to say, rest in peace, lads. Your watch is over. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the end of that video. Hopefully you learned something new, because I most certainly did. Now, if you want to go and support the channel, there is a link in the description below to the Patreon page. I would recommend doing it, but it's up to you. Also, if you want to come and talk to me, there's a link in the description for the Discord channel. There's a couple of good guys over there. We talk about a wide variety of stuff. So yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Hit that notification button to stay up to date with what I'm uploading. And obviously give it a like, give it a subscribe if you really want to, and comments always good. I like reading your comments. So take care. Catch you next time.